Say hello, Bodie. Say you're out there enjoying the sunshine again today. Aren't you, Bodie? Your water looks... Somebody dumped leaves in your water. I'll get you some fresh water later. How you doing, Bodie? What you doing? He was been talking his head off today. Haven't you? To all the girls. Talking to all the girls. And he's starting to groom himself again. That's a good sign, I think. Doesn't mean it's a sign that he's permanently going to get better, but yes, you see his comb is still laying flat on his head pretty much. It's not as limp as it was. I don't know what that means, but his comb, yes, it's laying down, but it seems plumper, and it seems like it actually has better color than it did. So I may just have a handicapped rooster on my hands, just like I said. Not something I want to deal with again. After 4 years of taking care of Zane, who I absolutely adored, he was a treasure, and even the brood hens with their babies trusted Zane. I put him out in the ground in the sunshine, and the babies would come all around him. If they bothered him too much, he'd reach over and give him a little tiny thunk on the head. Mama didn't care. She just... And these were even hens who weren't in his group. They trusted their babies with Zane. So, anyway... But I just don't want that again. Zane was very young when he got hurt and permanently crippled. And Bodie's, he'll be 4 years old first week of April. So and that's really, the longevity of Bantam Cochins is not overall, especially hatchery birds, is not overall much longer than that, honestly. So he's near the end of his life, but, he's enjoying the sunshine. He's digging. Aren't you digging, Bodie? You've been finding all the scratch on the ground. The girl's been trying to get in there and eat it for you. His comb is, I don't know, it's interesting. It's not laying as flat. I don't know how to say that exactly, but before it was just totally flat, like it was completely deflated. It had a really dusky looking color. Yeah. He's drinking. He's eating on his own. He's even grooming himself a little bit. His head is not, look at him. He's standing up. Look at the head. His head's tilted a little bit. But I think he may have a permanent, I don't know if it's called a neurological problem, I guess. And he's had a little bit of a personality change. He hadn't become mean, but he's become a lot more. Where was I before so rudely interrupted by a spam call? I'm getting so many of those lately. My husband engages these people. He'll talk to them and play with them, and it's like, just hang up on these people. They call all day. The reason I got out here in the first place, and I may still get in front of the camera, I don't know. There's no reason to, really. Our chicken entertainment has left, except for Mr. Bodie here. A great subscriber asked me a question. She hasn't gotten chickens yet. Suze, this is you. I don't know if you go by Suze, or I know it's in your screen name. If you go by Susan or Suzanne or whatever. She asked me the question, where do I recommend that you get your first chickens? She said you could, of course you could hatch your own. You can get chicks, and she felt like those might be more delicate. They're not as delicate as you think, honestly. If you know what you're doing, and it's not hard to learn to brood chicks. Or if you talking about getting older birds, but then you have the risk of bringing disease home right at the beginning. And also you don't necessarily know how old they are. Most people don't know the ages of their birds, honestly. Unless they have a very small flock. Most people who just keep birds and keep birds and keep birds, and they have chickens for years, and they kind of keep them at arm's length. They don't know the age of each of these birds, and so if they're giving them away, there's a good chance they're already not laying well, or there's a good chance they have reproductive issues, and that's another thing that's a little bit complex to get started out with. So the way most people do start out chickens is they get chicks from a feed store. Well, there's problems with that too. Now, that is the easiest way to do it. Incubating is great, but there's a learning curve to that as well. And then finding the source for the hatching eggs is another problem. Unless you go right for a really good breeder and you belong to some kind of a chicken group that maybe you can ask who's got hatching eggs. If you join backyardchickens.com, and it does not cost you anything. There are premium feather memberships or whatever that I actually have because I was gifted one after being a moderator for several years. But you can join backyardchickens.com, and you can just read. I think you can still look at it on the internet without joining. You just can't participate or ask questions. So they have a section, a sales section, where people sell hatching eggs, and they sell chicks, and they sell birds that they don't want or need. And you can find somebody in your area, because this has, I don't even remember how many members they have now. 100,000, 200,000. I don't even know anymore. I belong to backyardchickens.com since before Rob Ludlow bought the forum and revamped it and made it into this powerhouse forum that it is today. But there's a whole sales section. And there's also a section talking about breeders and people's experiences with certain breeders. So that might be a really good place to start. I honestly, no, they don't send you a bunch of spam. In fact, I can't even get the system to notify me when there's a reply to one of my threads or something. So they don't bother you. They don't bug you. There's a newsletter, but you don't have to belong to that. They have a Facebook group. The actual forum has a Facebook group. Just make sure it is the backyardchickens.com. But that's one place to source birds and hatching eggs. Chicks, grown birds, hatching eggs, whatever you want. Now, that doesn't mean that you're guaranteed you're going to get a clean flock if you buy started birds or even chicks. It's just not a guarantee. Nobody's vetted to join the forum. But there are a lot of people on there. If you want to contact me on there, my screen name is Speckled Hen. It is all lowercase, one word, Speckled Hen, SPECKLEDHEN. There are other speckled hens that have, capitalized or two words or whatever, but I think I was the first speckled hen on there. And that's because I wanted to get guineas, and of course they have dotted feathers and all that. But I've been there. It'll say I've been there for 18 years, but actually I've been there for 20 years. I actually joined backyardchickens.com before I got my first flock. And I had already had my coop built based on advice from there. It's got a coop section. I mean, it is an invaluable resource. I cannot stress that enough. So that is one excellent source for finding all of the above: chicks, grown birds, hatching eggs. But honestly, I mean, there's nothing like hatching chicks. I mean, it is a wonderful thing to watch chicks hatch. It's just a marvel. And if you have children who need to keep their little fingers off the incubator so they don't readjust it and kill all your babies in there, it's a great experience for kids to see. So, I mean, as long as they have their hands off, till it's done, because you can't risk that. But it's another learning thing. Besides the raising and the managing of chickens, it's another learning curve to the incubation part. But if you want to really start from the beginning, that's the beginning. That's the beginning. So there's that. Most people get their birds from feed stores who get shipments from various hatcheries. They use different hatcheries. And some hatcheries, I don't recommend their stock at all generally. But here's the rub when you do that. First, I don't know. I would never buy from Tractor Supply. I mean, they have baskets of red pullets. It's like red is a color. What breed are these things? They just don't know. And most of the time, they didn't know what they were talking about. They had chicks in tubs that people could handle. I'm like, oh my God, you don't want that. And they have a little kid squeeze a chick and put it back in there, and the chick is damaged and going to die. And somebody buys it, and the chick dies. And they think, what did I do wrong? Well, nothing. Somebody damaged the poor thing before you got to it. So I don't buy from Tractor Supply. I don't know if they do that anymore at any of them. The one closest to me doesn't do like that anymore. They have them a little bit more protected from little grippy little hands. But I never would buy from them because I just don't like them. Not chicks. I would never buy from them. And don't think that you're going to get good advice from them either. Because, as you know, the world is full of bad chicken advice and misinformation. Oh, there's that word, misinformation. Sorry, I used that one. And, just erroneous ideas. old farmers' tales, old wives' tales. But just because they have chicks in there does not mean that they know anything about chickens per se. So you need to get all your information and know what you're doing and know what you want before you even go try to buy chicks. I would try to get there, find out when to get. They have a list of what chick breeds are coming on what day. You can get their list, and you can make sure you are there bright and early before somebody buys them all up. If they get there early and you're there the next day, well, good luck. But you need to ask, what hatchery do they get them from? And are they vaccinated? Do you order them as vaxxed for anything, including and especially Marek's disease? I don't advocate getting vaccinated chicks at all. Now, I'm not going to go through how to raise chicks right here because I've already done videos on that. I've done it on is medicated feed versus non-medicated, the chick starter. They don't have medicated adult feed generally, but all that kind of stuff. And I've done a lot of videos on that. If you go through my playlist on chickens, you'll find all kinds of stuff. I was trying to find my own video about mistakes people make building chicken coop, and I couldn't even find it. Maybe I need to remake that. I don't know. But you got to ask them first what hatchery they come from. Some will go, I don't know. Some employee, you don't know where they got them. So would you please find out for me? And it doesn't mean that you're guaranteed great birds from a particular hatchery. Okay, I've had really sucky birds from Ideal Poultry in Texas. That was like that's a big one. Murray McMurray. I've seen their barred rocks. They're not good. I mean, to the untrained eye, they're okay. But to somebody who knows what they're looking for, the breed's supposed to look like, they're just standard hatchery puppy mill chicks kind of thing. So, and Cackle. The Dirty Dozen was from Cackle Hatchery, and I thought, well, I like Bantam Cochins. I had a couple of Bantam Cochins in the past, and I'll get some of those, and I will get some Easter eggers because they were coming in on the same day. Well, they came in a day early, and I missed out on the choice. So I took all the rest of what they had of Bantam Cochins, and I took 6 of the Easter eggers. Well, here we are. They're not 4 years old yet, and 3 of my Easter eggers, I'm going to count Juliet and the ones that have died because she's still here, but she's a walking skeleton, and it's an egg issue. I know that for sure. So 3 of my Easter eggers have already died, basically, of 6 that I got, and they're not even 4 years old yet. My oldest living bird ever was an Easter egger, but she wasn't a hatchery one. So, it was my June. She lived to be 14 and a half. Never had an egg issue till about 12 years old, and she started to prolapse all the time. And we got the prolapse back in and got all that taken care of. And she quit trying to lay. Her body shut down finally, as far as the laying factory, the egg factory. And she was fine the last couple of years of her life. So, but you won't get that. I'm not going to get these from the Easter eggers. I would love for Raina and Layla, especially to live a lot longer because I love those two. They're awesome. Shelby, she's a great layer. She's a beautiful hen, great layer. Nutty as a fruitcake. And so she's a little bit of a problem. I don't like chickens I can't handle easily. It includes roosters and hens. So, if you go to the feed store, get their sheet that says when they're going to get their chicks on what day and be there bright and early on the shipment day, okay? And having asked the questions about the Marek's vaccine and, what hatchery they come from. Doesn't mean now, as far as the Bantam Cochins, honestly, I think they look pretty good. Bodie's comb was never the best. I said, he's the biggest, not the prettiest comb. And I said, well, he got Bodie of the bodacious comb here. The great big comb. And now Gunner, beautiful. Gunner's son Dane, beautiful comb. And so you breed, and Axel was Bodie's. I could tell by the comb shape. And, that matters. If you want good looking birds, you try to buy the best quality you can. Now, used to be hatcheries never sold anything that was remotely like a true Americana. Americanas are blue eggs only, not green, blue. all shades of blue, but they're blue. Easter eggers can lay any color egg. It can be blue, green, even brown. They can still call them Easter eggers because they have blue egg layers in their lineage somewhere. And they look the same. They've got the beards and all that. But for a while, and still now, I think, people call these birds Americana, and they misspell it, / Easter egg. It's like, they spell it like Americana, like traditional American folklore, Americana, instead of Americana. And that's not the true breed. And Easter eggers are not a breed. Easter eggers are a mixed bag they're kind of hybrids they're just mixed lineage. But they'll say that. So there's a lot of misinformation put out by feed stores and hatcheries. Now, in the last few years, I have seen hatcheries getting, and I know it's because of all our complaints, hatcheries getting what they're calling true Americanas. They get blue, black, and splash Americanas. A lot of them sell just blue Americanas. You can't, when you breed blue to blue, you can still get blue, black, or splash. And if you breed splash to splash, you only get splash. I'm not going to go through the genetics of the blues, but in any case, a lot of them just sell plain. They'll call it blue Americanas. Now, I don't know what they're like because they have a trait of a certain eye color, a certain leg color, and a certain conformation, and they may not match all of that. They may look like a blue Americana, and they may be blue Americanas, but there's different quality of those too. Depends on the breeding. I think they don't lay as large eggs, the true Americanas, as the Easter eggers do. But then again, I'm missing 3 of my 6 Easter eggers already. My Americanas lived very long. Most of them lived very long lives. I think Charlotte, a blue girl, she lived to be, I think she was like 6 years old. I just didn't know why she died. I didn't understand that. That was a long time ago. Her daughter, Gypsy, my black Americana, who I lost a couple years ago, she died at 10 years old. I don't know, did I have my splash Americana, Snow, who was related to Gypsy. Snow, she lived to 14. June, the Easter egger, lived to 14 and a half. Snow lived to be 14. Didn't lay the last few years of her life. So, you just have to choose which breeds you want, see where you can get them, see what they're available, and then check as much as you can on the health of them. I would never buy any grown birds from anyone at a flea market, an auction, not even an Amish auction. If you've seen how they treat some of their animals, I don't think you'd like it much. Or in random individuals. Even if they call themselves a breeder, a lot of them have hatchery stock and they start breeding them. Well, it makes them technically a breeder, but it doesn't make them actually looking for the traits that the breeds are supposed to have. So it just depends on what you want. All these hens are going to lay eggs, no matter how crappy they look. They're all going to lay eggs. What you want is someone's not going to start dying at 2 years old. I don't want that. And you want them to have decent temperaments. Hens can be nutty, crazy. I mean, Shelby's a crazy thing. Raina and Layla, much calmer. Raina's the calmest of them all. She's just a doll. She doesn't freak out easily like Shelby does. You walk out of the barn and Shelby don't realize you're coming out the door. She freaks out, running and screaming like a nut. But she lays really big eggs. So, it's just, you really need to, there's a lot of research to do. Most people start out with chicks from a feed store. If they call them Rhode Island Reds, they're production Reds. A true Rhode Island Red, it's going to be so dark red, it's almost black. And typical hatchery Rhode Island Reds that they call them, not that, they're production Reds. They're really not true Rhode Island Reds. It's just like the barred rocks are not the barred rock that with the standards, bred to standards. So, but I tell you what, I'd rather have a red one than a messy looking barred rock. Those can look absolutely screwed up. Now, if you want to get sex links, you want just egg production, that's all you care about. Sex links like the Golden Comets, the Cinnamon Queens, they're made for crossing 2 different breeds. And the black stars, all these birds, these different trade names of they're sex link birds. That just means that the male and female chicks look different. Their coloring is different at hatch, and you can completely tell the female from the male. Sex links are made to lay like gangbusters for 2 years, and then if they're lucky to live 2 years, they're probably not going to lay a whole lot after that. Now, there's no it's all or nothing. Some may lay a little longer. Some may die at a year old just because they get egg yolk peritonitis or something. So there's the problem with hybrid layers. Now, if you make your own hybrids, you're going to get a different result. Such as I made Easter eggers. I made Easter egger with my blue black splash Americanas bred by my Barred Rock rooster or my Delaware rooster. So I made Easter eggers. Those, much better longevity, much better temperament. They're decent egg layers. So there's a lot of information that goes by that. Now, you can have someone hatch birds for you. If you know someone that you know they have a very healthy flock and they have, you know these people and you've talked to these people and you've actually kind of felt them out and said, well, do you ever had any chickens get any colds? If they say yes, you need to not hatch from those birds. But I've hatched for other people. People wanted my Brahmas and they wanted chicks. I didn't have any. I said, I can hatch you some if you would like. So I wasn't ready to put any more chicks in my barnyard. So I did. I gave a small fee for me being a baiter jockey, as I call it, a baiter jockey. And then I sold them the chicks at a certain per chick price. And they came to pick them up after 2 to 3 days when I was sure every chick was going to thrive. I didn't want to sell them a chick on the day they hatched and then have that chick have a failure to thrive-ish situation. So I'd keep them a couple days. And I'd say, your chicks are ready to come get. And they come get them and pay me for the chicks and the incubating work. So that might also be a good way to do it if you know someone. Or you can find someone on backyardchickens.com who will do that for you if you can't find any ready-made chicks or hatching eggs. It just depends. So there's all the ways that people can get chicks, and my battery's going a little bit low, and I'm sorry, it's kind of boring. But Bodie's not the most exciting guy in the world lately, are you, Bodie? But you see, he's digging around. He seems okay. He's happy. He's happy enough by himself, eating, and he's been grooming, and so I don't know. I think I just have a handicapped rooster with a neurological issue now from the West Nile virus that we are pretty sure that happened to him. And Axel died though, so Bodie's still here, but he's quite damaged. So anyway, I'll just leave y'all, and I hope this was helpful for somebody. I can't zoom in too much further on that. My zoom in this camera is really bad. My phone is better, but I hate using that. So anyway, there you go. So I hope that helps.